Hi. I've got a race against the clock now. So I was invited to come here to talk on this panel about AI. I don't know anything about AI. And I thought, hang on, I've got this study, and although we didn't specifically ask about AI, I must have stuff in there. So that being asked and invited has prompted us to do a deep dive and start to say, oh yeah, we do have stuff on AI. So if you want to learn more about the study, you can just scan that QR code. So all I'm going to do today is just briefly give you an overview of the study so you know what I'm talking about and what my evidence base is. And then I'm going to sort of focus on how digital media come into the lives of children from birth to 36 months at home in the UK across diverse communities. And then I'm going to sort of look at AI and their play at home as well. And I'm going to do that in about 6 minutes. So wish me luck. So the study design was first an online survey with nearly 1,500 respondents, and the little map of the UK, it shows where we got the responses from. So we're pretty pleased because it's pretty cool the way we managed to get responses from all over. Very diverse responses, targeted across all sorts of different nationalities, ethnicities, income, education levels, etc. We then did online interviews, and then we did 40 in-depth case studies co-constructed with families at home, which has resulted in an enormous body of empirical evidence. It's really rich. So that's the study. So first finding really that I'll discuss today is that although most households, well, all households have some digital devices nowadays, regardless of income or whatever, there are disparities. So the average number of devices in every household, this is the survey results, so based on 1,444 households, the average number of devices was 12 and a half. And the ownership varied between one device and 40 devices. So that's the disparity, yeah? So the one device could have been a mobile phone for calls and texts only, and the 40 devices were probably, well, the highest range was 14 different device types. So they would have had like nearly 4 of each device type. So the range of device types was between 1 and 14 different device types. And parental income and education status was the highest predictor of device ownership, so that's no surprise. But we've got the hard evidence about this with regard to 0 to 3s, which I don't think existed before. And so families with lower incomes had fewer devices and a narrow range of devices. So we listed certain devices and said, do you have any of these? And then we said, do you have any other devices? So I've highlighted in red smart home devices like Alexa and Google Home, things like that. And I've highlighted smartphone because I'm just going to say a little bit about those. But you can see that 98% of the households, even if the income was under 10,500 a year, was 98% have smartphones. So that's, pretty ubiquitous. So there's lots of detail behind all this that we can start to analyze where the disparities are. We also asked if they had other devices, and if so, could they please list those other devices? And we got a list so long of many devices we'd never even heard of. So we had to look them all up. So today I am going to talk about a couple of devices that didn't appear on our list as well. So first of all, something that isn't on the list. We came across very young children playing with household devices that are assistive. So smart doorbells, washing machines, lighting, music players, and a robot vacuum cleaner. So this little guy is only 8 months old. There's a son in an Indonesian family on a very low income, but the robot vacuum cleaner was his absolute favorite toy because he chased it around the floor and loved it when it went under the sofas. And it actually broke during the time we were working with his family, which is no small surprise. Almost all the children where there was a washing machine with touch screen, sort of like controls, if that washing machine was in a community area within the home, like in the kitchen rather than out the back somewhere, then the children were fascinated by the touch, and parents had to stop them using it. Also, with AI-enabled security systems within the home, um, so for example, we have this example, if you read what's going on there, so the mum's phone has facial recognition, and her 21-month-old boy has learned how to get her phone open by just putting the phone in front of mum's face. Open, great, I can do something. So the 21-month-old had outwitted the parents and the system. This is actually my last slide. There's a lot to read, but this is about personal assistance in the home and all the different uses that parents have found for things like Alexa and Google Home. So we have, say on the top left, we've got a mum speaking about a 4-week-old baby, just showing the kind of extent of devices that are in the home that the children is watching being used. Then on the right, we've got a 4-month-old boy having his nappy changed, and the parent has invented a game where they call up, the sound of animals, and this has become a nappy changing game with Alexa or Google Home this was Google Home on the side. Underneath that, we've got a mum explaining how they use Google Home to play nursery rhymes, and how the boy is saying Google, Google to try and get it to work. Bottom left, we've got more than one family where Alexa or Google was the first word or amongst a baby's first words. Yeah. And in the middle there, we have an example of an older boy in a cohort, 35 months, who has learnt how to ask Google to play different nursery rhymes. And when his friends come round, the smart speaker is the centre of attention because it feeds their play, and they dance in the kitchen for the smart speaker. So key point is that if we talk about children's screen time, it's kind of meaningless because a lot of the devices that children encounter at home do not have screens. They're not even visible sometimes. We knew there was a smart speaker in one home, and we said, "Where is it?" And they said, "Oh, it's behind the toaster," because they didn't want the child to actually see it. But it was playing. It was, requests were being made for music. So, that screen time is now a misnomer. And if you equate screen time with digital tech, and you look at how technologized homes are in convenient ways for parents, and then you say to parents, your child mustn't experience digital tech, you are essentially saying you've got to stop the tide from coming in. It's kind of meaningless. So we need to improve the guidance for parents, and we need to think hard for practitioners as well about the variety of tech in homes and how AI is coming into homes, sometimes through updates on things so parents aren't even aware of it. Thank you.